Hello and thanks for joining School of the American Rifle. Today's video is going to be a physical or autopsy of the 7 Sons of Liberty bolt carrier groups. We are going to be putting these in the 7 Ruger Secret Shopper Series rifles. These were donated by Sons of Liberty, but I figured since we had them before we shoot part 4 of the Ruger Secret Shopper Series, we would go ahead and do some bolt carrier group checks so you can see what we're going to be putting in the gun. That's a separate video, just to simplify it. So let's go ahead and field strip these real quick. After I do the gas ring test, as you know, we stand the bolts up. And we are using a new camera for the first time, so hopefully our old audio issues go away, and hopefully the video quality is as good, if not better. But we'll see. All of these are passing the gas ring test. Very good. And it's a learning curve for Donna as well. She's always my camera lady. She does a fantastic job. Besides technical issues with the equipment, I couldn't ask for a better partner in crime when it comes to doing stuff in the shop. Now these were given at no cost, but that being said, I'll be fair about it. We were actually given 10 total, but since we're trying to keep this video on point in relation to the Rugers, we're just going to do 7 of them. And then we can do the other 3 at another time. And like I said, we're trying some new equipment, so we want to try to simplify things. Get all the firing pins out. Try to keep them together as much as possible. Whoops. And don't do that. Come on. Still pretty oily. All right. Get these cam pins out. Sons of Liberty, along with some other companies, not many of them, do individual high pressure testing and magnetic particle inspection. You usually notice that there's brass on the face of a bolt. Really good shot there. Looks great. There we go. So if you see that brass transfer, that usually means that it's either been tested with some ammo or at a minimum high pressure tested. So let's get these bolts out of these things. And if we mix and match parts, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and do the bolt carriers since they're pretty straightforward. Let's check them for go, no go. It's important to check for the go because it can, the bolt carrier or the carrier key itself can have an undersized bore. Won't take it. Won't take it. I took it a little bit, but it won't go in any further. A little bit, but won't go any further. And that's somewhat normal when they hone these. They won't even start. Won't even start, and won't even start. So a few of them started partially. Some people may see that as a fail. I don't, because the gas tube goes all the way in when the gas system pressurizes. So you can look at that as one point, and then let's go ahead and do our bolt carriers. I'm going to go down the row real quick with the big stuff, and then we'll do the firing pin, the bolt tail runs last. So green, green, no yellow, green, barely took that green, didn't take the yellow. So this one's good. That has an efficient run. Green, barely takes that one. It actually picked it up, so that one don't count. It's got to go all the way down. That one didn't go all the way down, so that's green. We'll get the next one. Didn't take that one. Didn't take that one, so we're all green so far. And again, we're learning some new equipment here, so bear with us. Didn't take that one. Didn't take that one. Started but won't go down all the way. Don't count if it don't go down all the way. That one don't go down all the way. And then last one. I think I may have skipped one, so I'm going to go back and do one more here in a second. I have my hand on it. This one right here. Sometimes those of you who watch catch me missing stuff, so I'll expect it in the comments. Be like, wait a minute, you checked the 8 bolt carriers. There was only 7. I don't do my checklist on video because it slows me down. I like to go by memory. When I'm doing stuff individually in the shop, I do have a list that I go by. But to smooth things out and not sound like I'm having a mental problem, I just go along with the flow. All right, let's do the bolt tail. Let's see if it'll go to the yellow. Let's just skip some time. How do you know if it's undersized? The bolt won't fit. The tail won't fit into the carrier. So let's go right to yellow to see if we have any inefficient bolt tail runs. Not there. Not there. Not there. Not there. Nope. This is good. I probably should have sprayed these things off or something. They're a little bit oily. But that's how they're shipped sometimes. So all of these have efficient 3 bores and carrier keys. Now I'm going to do a test on these when it comes to alignment. I do that off camera, the same thing that I do with my ejector test. So Donna will run some video when I do that. I also already did a leak test on this. I do it as an assembled group. I have a special fixture that I created that checks to see if gas leaks around the carrier key, and none of these are leaking gas. So all of these, as far as the carriers go, are great. I'm going to go ahead and check these off camera with my alignment gauge, and bear with me for 1 second. I can't show the gauge because it's something that I have fabricated, and I'm under an NDA on it, so I can't share it. Passing. 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 What we're looking for here is a straight carrier key as far as left and right goes. Now, as far as top and bottom goes, we do our separate check with that. I'm going to grab an upper receiver. Upper receiver is missing, so we'll have to do that separately. That's one thing I forgot to grab. But what we do with that is we put pin gauge in there and we drop it through the upper receiver to see if this rod points straight forward. The good news is that we do this normally to check a strip bolt carrier. So if you bought a bunch of bolt carriers and you want to put them on your shelf for spare parts, it's good to check that. That being said, if you have a host gun you're going to put in it too, the final check is going to be to see if your carrier key telescopes cleanly over the gas tube. And then if you have to, you can adjust the gas tube. So far, so good. Let's see what else do we have. We have to measure the lengths of the carrier. So let me zero out my tool, and we'll go down the row. 667, 668. If you guys all remember the magic number, it is, you don't want 666 or shorter. As they say in The Water Boy, my mama says that's the devil. 668, 667, 667. So they all have good length. It's important that the carrier has the right length because if it's too short, the buffer follows it and then the buffer crashes into the buffer retainer. All right, so what are we missing here? Carrier key. Let's look at the back. Looks pretty good there. Try to get it to focus. Let me hold my hand out. Maybe that'll help. There we go. No. There we go. Nice and clean. So the tail's not super smooth, but that one's better. That one looks good. Nice and clean. So what you can do if your carriers have the right length, that was a little bit rough. You can see some buffer marks on it from when they test fired it. Normally those will wipe off. You just don't want the back of the carrier to look like a record. Looks good. Donna's getting the hang of the camera pretty quick. So none of these need any addressing, but you could just take some emery cloth or a polish and you could just polish the tail up. You never want to do that when the length is wrong though. All right, let's look inside of the carrier 3-bore visually. Let me grab my light. And if I see anything, we'll point it out. I normally have to go in here and clean this out. Get some light in there, and that run looks good. In the past, I used to use a borescope so you guys can get a good look in there. But this looks pretty clean. Nothing like the Rugers. They were extremely rough. The light's probably too bright. There we go. That looks nice. Nice and clean. Very smooth. The gas ring run is the most important run in this. I'm just going to take them all and go down the row. Nice and clean. Beautiful. This one's a little dirty, so I got to wipe it out real quick. Some people will complain when they buy bolt carriers that have been tested properly that they're dirty. And that's actually a good thing that they're dirty, because that means somebody actually fired them to make sure they're going to run. Looks good. Nice and clean. Clean. Very clean. This one's dirty. Grab a new swab. Normally used to get my swabs from Brown Allison. For some reason they're not carrying them anymore, so I had to resort to Amazon, and these things are just tiny. Not too happy with them. It looks good. 2 more left. That looks good. Nice and clean. And last but not least, nice and clean. Now in the past I've used the borescope, like I said, to show these finishes, but the way that I teach this in class is if you look inside of your bolt carrier and with the naked eye, assuming you don't have impaired vision, you can see machining lines in it. That's too rough. So that's what you want to look out for, and you want to do the same thing inside the carrier key. You want to look inside the key, and we're not going to be able to get a good shot of that, but you want to make sure you don't see any really rough machining lines in there. There we go, nice shot. I'll look at all these real quick. It wants to focus on my hand instead of the part that we're trying to focus on. Still getting the hang of it. But it looks good. You'll have to trust my word for it. That one looks good. So Donna's telling me the light's too much, so let's see if I can get a better angle like this. No, that one looks bad on camera, but in person it looks great. So we still have some learning to do with the camera. There we go. Nice and clean. That's clean. That looks good. And again, what we're looking for is really bad machining circles and lines, nice and clean. That looks good. You also want the mouth to be nice and clean. You don't want there to be jagged edges. That looks good. 2 more left. That one looks good. And that one looks good. All right, really clean. So length is good. You can see the rounds from the magazine when they were testing them. Not overly rough. Just going to go down and look at them real quick. Nothing looks bad there. Nothing looks bad there. Good. 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 If the belly of the carrier is rough, that's sliding across the ammunition in the magazine every time the bolt cycles. So you just want to make sure they're not overly rough because that can impede proper cycling. Okay, so bolt carrier stuff looks like we're good. So let's go ahead and go to the cam pins. Let's see how they fit. Pretty tight. Tight. We're going to gauge them, but I always do that as a good fit test. Really tight. No wiggle. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to tear these extractors out. And I'm going to test the ejectors real quick off camera, and then we'll gauge the rest of this stuff. Pretty tedious when you got 7 of these things to do. It usually takes me about 25-30 minutes to really carefully check one bolt carrier group when I'm not shooting a video. Taking my time going over my checklist. All right, let me check these real quick using my fixture. Good. Good. And again, some people don't like it that I don't share everything, but I have to save some stuff for in-person classes. And some of the things that I've learned over the years. Can't give everything away for free. I don't do it to anger anyone. Just have to be able to stay in business. All of these pass. We are good. So let's go down and start checking other things. Let's check the bolt face and the cam pin hole. I'm going to go to one spot so Donna doesn't have to keep moving around. It passes that. Doesn't eat the no-go. Those are good. I'll get the next one. Doesn't go in. Starts a little bit, but we'll take it. And let's check the bolt face. And if it goes faster than the camera can focus, I do apologize. I'll repeat again, we are learning. Hopefully the audio is much better because we got a really nice microphone. All right, those are good so far. All these are passing. Basically, you want the bolt face to be of sufficient size so it'll take a round. Not so large that the base of the cartridge is jiggling around in there. Because then the extractor will lose its grab of the cartridge, and that's not a good thing. So we want to make sure that it's the right size, meets the minimum, and that it's not oversized. They all pass. Okay, let's do some magnetism checks. I'm just gonna go down the row and see if anything grabs. Got nothing. Sometimes when bolts are magnetic particle inspected, they'll be slightly magnetized. Sometimes the cam pins will be magnetized. We don't have any of that. Check the firing pins. Did that one start? Nope. Nope. One more. Okay. I missed a few cam pins. Just want to check them real quick. We're good. All right. Cam pins aren't magnetized. Let's go ahead. I got to get a paper towel out of my pocket and wipe these firing pins down. I got to check the tips of them. I'm going to do them all at once. See if I can detect anything. And it may be hard for the camera to pick this up. We're going to look at the tips. I'm going to look at them first real quick, and then I'll see if I can show anything on the camera. Now, after time, I've gotten pretty good at feeling defects on the tips, but these all look good. Normally in class, we use a magnifying glass. There we go. We use a magnifying glass to look at the tips of these. You want them to have a perfectly dome tip on them. You don't want to see craters, chips missing out of them. Nice, smooth surface. The more damage the tip has on it, the quicker the protrusion of the firing pin will change. Doesn't mean you need to replace it if it has some slight damage, but the more damage that it has, the more likely your protrusion will change rapidly. All right, let's check protrusion and proper movement. I might have to get some junk out of the insides of these with some pipe cleaners, because if oil's in here, it'll fail the test. And this is exactly what we do in class. We make sure we prep the bolts, check them for movement. Good. We don't want anything sticking in any position, and then we'll check protrusion. Oh, there's one. Right there. I can feel it binding. So maybe there's a little bit of gunk in there. I'm going to get something and we'll clean it out. Sometimes it's a compatibility issue with a certain firing pin and a certain bolt, so we're going to clean this out. It could just be some debris in there. I'm not too much of a fan of pipe cleaners because they tend to get stuck and broken off in places that are very difficult to get out, but I will use them for this purpose. And there we go. So we had a little bit of crud in there. It's important this moves freely when it's clean, because if it binds when it's dirty, it's going to bind really bad when it gets fouled up. So that passes. We fixed it. Yay. Let's check protrusion. $31, good. 31 to 32. 32 and a half. We want 28 to 35. Too much protrusion. Can punch through the primer. Too little, won't set it off. These are all pretty darn consistent. The good news is if you ever have an issue with protrusion, this is why having spare parts is important. Just do a little bit of musical chairs, swap some firing pins around with some bolts, and you usually get one that passes. It's a stacking issue. 32.5, so all these pass. Okay, let's do our bolt tail. So I got to pull the firing pins back out. Since these were all really close, I'm not worried about mixing them up. If they won't go onto the red gauge, the yellow gauge, which is a no-go, I'm not even going to try the red. None of these will go. Nope. All right, let's check the firing pin holes. Donna's getting some pretty good angles there. I'll do these 4, see what we get. Pass, 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 pass. All right, they all pass. This new camera lets us look while we're shooting. All right, what are we missing? We have our cam pin gauge, which we don't show in our videos, but I'm going to start doing it now. Basically, if the cam pin goes into that gauge and any of the firing pin bore gets covered up, reject it. This isn't really about wear. Sometimes it is, but mainly it's that the cam pin's made wrong. People are like, but mil-spec's mil-spec. It's not. So I'll try all 7 of them real quick right here to see if they go in. That one starts, look, but it won't go into the hole. So that's what we want to see. I'll actually get a bad one to show you. Ones that I use for class. This thing is reading into the 6 decimal number, so very, very, very small amount of material differences can cause it to fail. The more loose the cam pin is, the more sloppy it fits into the bolt, which means that your bolt is more likely to stretch and break. See, it starts, but it's got to cover that hole if it's failing. One more. That one won't go in, so let me show you one. These are ones that I use in class. You can see some of these have a little bit of wear on them. So let's see how far they go in. See, that covers up half the hole. So I would reject that one. There we go. Let me use another one. Here's another one. It's got some wear on it. And that one covers up all of the hole. Just about all of it. Let me move this back. There we go. And then the last one, no wear on it at all. It's a brand new cam pin all the way through. So this goes to show you that even new stuff can give you a problem. All right, extractor clearance. Let me gather them all up. Do them all in front of the camera. It's not taking the no-go, which is good. Takes the go. Camera keeps wanting to autofocus. There we go. Takes the go. Doesn't take the no-go. Took the go, but didn't take the no-go. That's good. Takes go. Doesn't take no-go. Doesn't take no-go. 2 more. Takes go, takes go. Doesn't take the no-goes. All right. Let's check for gas path. We're not going to zoom in on this, but that one went in. That one went in. We want to make sure that we don't have any blockages. Believe it or not, a brand new carrier key can have a blockage. If they use too much sealant, it'll cover the hole. If they don't drill the ports right in the carrier key or the bolt carrier, it'll cause a blockage. If a primer pops during testing, it'll get up in the carrier key and block it off. We're good across the board. So let me do a quick summary. Did I miss anything? No. So pretty good if you ask me. As always, this is an example of 7. Now it's quite possible because Sons of Liberty donated these and they didn't come from an individual purchase them. They could have been cherry picked. That being said, normally have pretty good experience with these. We're going to call this a physical and not an autopsy because we didn't find any problems. We had a firing pin stick a little bit, cleaned it up. We were golden. Everything is straight, true, clean. If these were mine, I'd be fine with them. Now, there are some enhancements that I do to my own personal stuff that I teach in classes, which is polishing the mouth of the carrier key. Make sure that's nice and clean because that forces the gas tube to find its way into the hole. And then I've already mentioned it, but sometimes I'll polish up the tails because they can reduce the amount of wear that happens to the face of your buffer. It's not a functional issue, just something that people get weird about when it comes to cosmetics. So, example of 7. As always, I hope you found this video educational, and thanks for watching.